This was hands down one of the easiest doughs that I have ever mixed by hand. It was effortless to handle, gave explosive oven spring, and wait till you see the crumb. Now this is Jack Sturgess's recipe, straight from his book, Bread Every Day. Now I've made one tweak using Magnus just to scale that recipe down slightly to fit my proving basket. Other than that, the baker's percentages remain exactly the same. Let's get into it. Right, so last night I mixed 50 grams of rye flour with 50 grams of water and then the scrapings that were left over from my wheat starter. And then this morning, I've got this nice bubbly rye starter that's all ready to go. Now, I added 286 grams of room temperature water to my mixing bowl. Okay, that's followed by 7 grams of salt. Then I just use a spoon to give it a very quick stir, probably for about a minute or so, just to make sure that salt's fully dissolved. Now, Jack's recipe calls for 415 grams of strong white bread flour. So I'm going to add about half of that into my bowl first. That's followed by 92 grams of starter. I'm then going to mix them together with a spoon. Now, holding back half the flour just makes it a lot easier to work that starter evenly through the mix. Then the rest of the flour goes in and I use the spoon just to bring everything together. Now, I'm not worried about creating a smooth dough at this point. I just want to make sure that all of these ingredients are fully combined. Then it gets covered and it gets left to rest. My fermentation temperature throughout this entire process was 24 degrees Celsius, that's 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Right, so after 30 minutes, I'm going to give this a very quick mix against the bench. Now, this flour still hasn't fully hydrated, so the dough is still slightly sticky, but I just want you to wait. I want you to see what happens during the next lamination stage. Now, again, I'm not trying to develop any strength here at all. I just want to make sure that everything is fully combined. So after a quick shape into a ball, it's going to go back into the bowl. It's going to get covered. I'm going to leave it to rest for about an hour. Right, so it's time for our first stretch. And here you're going to see just how this dough is starting to transform. Now, whenever I'm working with smaller batches like this, I really like to laminate the dough. But I just want to tell you that stretching it on the worktop or in a bowl is going to work just as well, because once we scale up to a couple of kilos or more, we're probably not going to have the space to laminate on the work surface anyway. But you know what? For these smaller batches, it's fun and it's a really good way to connect with the dough. Now, if you do laminate and you find your dough sticks to the surface, you can lightly mist that bench with a little bit of water before pulling it out. I promise you, it's a much better option than throwing loads of flour down. Now, we're going to do 2 more of these laminations, so there's going to be 3 in total. They're going to be evenly spaced an hour apart. After the third one, we're just going to leave that dough to finish its bulk fermentation. Now, by the second or the third lamination, you may actually notice that dough doesn't want to stretch quite as much. It's a bit tighter. That's completely normal. Just be guided by how the dough feels. Okay, so our dough has now been sitting untouched for a couple of hours while it finished its bulk fermentation. It's a little bit slack, so I'm just going to give it a very quick pre-shape. That's just going to tighten it up slightly. Now I give the top a very light dusting of flour so that when I flip it out, it doesn't stick to my worktop. But remember, this dough, and this dough specifically, is an absolute treat to handle. So we really don't want to use too much flour here. Otherwise, it's just going to make it harder when it comes to the final shape. Now this dough is nicely puffed up and I want to try and preserve that gas structure. So I gently handle the dough as I shape it into a ball again. Then I just leave it uncovered on the bench for 15 minutes. Right, so this final shape, I just flip the dough over and then I fold the top into the center, followed by the bottom. I then turn it 45 degrees. I fold that bottom over slightly just to give myself that straighter edge to seal against. Then I roll the dough up gently while pushing it forward to create surface tension. Then when I get to the end, I push it down to seal it. Then I pinch those side seams closed. Then I just use my bench scraper just to even that dough up a little bit and make sure that everything is really well sealed. Now it gets a very quick bath in rice flour before it gets placed into the banneton with that seam side facing upwards. I wrap that entire basket in a plastic bag just to stop the dough drying out, and then I just leave it to prove. Right, so our dough has been proving for about an hour now. You can see it's puffed up nicely to fill that basket. It feels soft, it feels aerated, but it doesn't feel like it's about to collapse or deflate. So I'm going to pop it back into the bag. I'm going to make sure that it's airtight. Then I'm going to pop it into my fridge. It's going to continue to prove for a few hours as that temperature drops. It's going to be ready for us to pull out and bake first thing in the morning. Right, so it's the next morning and it's time to bake. So I've preheated the oven and my Brod & Taylor baking steel to 220 degrees Celsius or 428 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, as I've scored into this dough, you can actually peek inside and see that cell structure. That tells us whether the dough's been fermented and proved properly. It's going to go straight onto the baking steel. It's going to get covered with the baking shell, and then it's going to be left to bake for 20 minutes. Then I remove the cover and I just leave it to continue baking at exactly the same temperature. That will bake for about another 25 minutes until the loaf is properly baked. That's pretty much it. It's going to come out of the oven, go onto the cooling rack, and it needs to cool completely before we slice it open. I absolutely love this recipe, and it produces a dough that's just an absolute pleasure to handle. That rye starter, it powers the fermentation chain beautifully. And it produces a loaf that's got plenty of loft and a really decent ear. That crumb, it's got this creamy, soft texture with a mellow, fruity sourness. And the crust, it's crisp, it's crackly. It's not overly chewy or heavy. Give this one a whirl, you won't be disappointed. Now, I'm sure most of you have already watched Jack's channel, but for those who haven't, I'm going to leave that linked down below along with a copy of his book. Catch you in the next one.